welcome, Dad, to the
Hi,
Vulnerable
Nisha.
Voices podcast. How are you,
Thank
Dad?
you. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh,
Uh,
good. It's
Just
so
been,
strange
ju-
doing a virtual chat.
yeah, just been out for a walk and it started drizzling when on my way back. So, but other than that, yeah, it's quite a nice day outside.
Well, thank you for joining. I'm actually really excited to have this conversation with you, but more formal in terms of recording it because we have loads of chats and stuff. So I thought it's important to get my own dad on my own podcast to share your journey and hopefully help some other younger boys and men and just society as a whole in terms of, what's it like growing up as a man, sharing your emotions, anything you've been through that might help other people as well. So I'm really excited. Well, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll go from there.
My name is Mukesh, Nisha's dad. Currently, I'm employed with Royal Mail for the past 3 years. In the past, I've worked in different industries, ranging from customer services to precious metals. I have obviously been known to be told, say that a jack of all trades, but master of none. And I think to a larger extent, that might be the case. I
I think
can do a job. I can do a job, but sometimes the things I can do, I will do. What I can't do, and I know that might put people's life at risk, I will not touch. I'll give that out to the professionals. Again, that reflects on when in my younger days when I used to work on my own cars. But since having got married and having children, I never touch the brakes purely because I'm putting somebody else's life at risk, and I don't think I could have that on my conscience. So that reflects on me saying that things that I think are critical, I won't touch. Yeah.
No, I mean, to be honest, we know you've got so many different skills and so many different areas. It's always like the DIY guru or Dad, I don't understand this. Like, can you give me more information? And to be honest, I think in life having multiple different skills is personally for me way better than just one because actually life makes you tap into so many different skill sets that along your journey, which as it'll unfold of how you've grown up and the people you've come about, what you've learned along the way actually circles back and you start remembering, oh, this person taught me this. Now I can use it. So yeah, we know you've got lots of different skills and we appreciate it because we've learned loads as well as your children. So thank you.
You are.
Take me back to your childhood. What was growing up in Africa like? What kind of things did you get up to? What were your friend circles like? School? Talk to me about what your childhood was like.
Well, I was born in Tanga, Tanzania, East Africa, on the day of independence of Tanzania,
Uh-huh.
which is a very good, it's a very memorable date for all the Africans in Tanzania. I remember certain parts of my childhood, not all of it, maybe from about 5, 6 onwards, where I used to go to school like normal children, play around, play with marbles, conkers, whatever you can think of. Never really good at studying. Always try to avoid these studies. But I suppose that's just, that was my way of not, maybe I wasn't, what's the word, set in learning just one thing or whatever.
Mm.
Um, he used to end up having fights with my cousins. One minute we're playing marbles, and then next minute we're having a fight because either he's cheated or I cheated. But then 5 minutes later we're back to normal.
Mm.
I remember climbing trees, mango trees,
Mm.
to get the trees, and we used to do it in such a way that we would not be caught out by our
Mhm.
seniors, our elders, and our uh, s- older siblings.
Yeah.
But some days we used to get them involved as well. So if you're up the mango tree and one of them catches you, says, "Yeah, you want a mango?" Initially, I said no. He says, "Yeah, go and have one." And then mango was a good sweetener. Yeah, those of sometimes join in, but that was very infrequent.
Mm.
Again, I think my middle sibling. He used to have a bicycle and he was very possessive of that. He would not let me ride the bike. But yet, when he had a puncture, the first thing he would do is to call me and say, "Oh, look, I got a puncture." So I said, "Okay, fine, but as long as I get to ride it." So things like that, I used to sort of, get around. The other thing I used to enjoy was pretending to drive because we had a carpentry factory and building construction company of my granddad.
Mhm.
I used to go to the factories with my dad and pretend I was driving. Obviously, seeing my dad drive, I used to sort of sit in the driving seat, the noise of the gear changes and all that, making out that I'm going down this particular route. Really, so making out that I'm in charge of the car.
What is it about cars? Because you like driving, we know, we call you Uber dad all the time. But, like, what is it about driving back then with your dad as well that you enjoyed?
I think it was just the fact that you sort of you're traveling by a mode of transport, not on foot or even with riding a bicycle. It was like it's a mode of transport,
There's a
and you
sense
can
of
go a bit
freedom for you,
and you can go a bit faster than walking.
the adrenaline probably.
Probably, yeah. I mean, there are examples I can give you where I remember one particular evening uh, mm, because we had a pickup. So basically, in the front you had a cab where you had the driver and passenger, and you could get one more passenger.
Mm.
But me being young and naughty or whatever, I always just say I want to, be in the back because it's an open space and so on. And being the naughty child, I suppose to a certain extent, which I was, one day I remember we'd gone to an evening religious function and said to my dad, I said, I'll go at the back. And he didn't, he said, yeah, you normally go at the back. So mom and dad got in the front and I got in the back. And me being clever or so called clever, I stood in the back without holding anything. Dad had to brake suddenly. And then what I did was I actually went backwards and fell over the car.
Of
But,
course he did.
but the thing is, they didn't realize until they got home that I was in the back of the car.
Didn't they hear anything?
It happened so fast that I think my voice was muted, and I didn't realize.
Oh.
It's like a shock in a sense. "Huh, excuse me, what just happened here?" And being young, you sort of,
How old were you there?
to be quite honest, I think I was probably about 8, 9, if that,
So young.
maybe, yeah. And thing was that because I sort of fell back and out of the vehicle onto the road, I think the little thud of that actually numbed me as well, so I couldn't really scream anything out.
Yeah.
When they got home, they realized I was in the back. So, my dad's looking in the back saying, "Where is he? Where is he?" And then they started panicking. And then obviously, because we weren't far from the house, I knew the way. So I walked it and they were quite surprised. They said, "What happened?" And they explained what happened. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was, one.
Was that scary for you, or was it because you're quite adventurous and, a bit naughty and whatever for you, it's like, "It's okay, I'll find my way," or were you quite scared being that young as well?
Not really. It was where I was born. It was a small town, and most people knew me because of my granddad's business. Uh, Because when I used to go to the factories and I used to go to the building sites, these people working there, they used to address me with my granddad's name.
Mm,
And they would say, "Oh, here's Nartham, Mazay Nartham," meaning old man Nartham, my granddad's name,
mm,
coming or whatever. So
mm,
I suppose in that respect, I wasn't scared, no.
mm.
Coming back to the cars and so on, the other interests, as I said, I used to love sort of sitting in the car and pretending I was driving and use the full use of all the gears, handbrakes, everything, turning the
Yeah,
steering and all that.
yeah.
And I used to end up making a pothole where the front tires was because you're turning the steering left and right and you create that wave. But I remember one particular day where I was in the car, in the factory, just playing as normal. And my late cousin came and sat in the passenger seat and says, "Come on, let's start the car." He dared me. And I said, "Well, what you say?" He says, "Yeah, go on, start the car." And I was scared, but I started the car and I says, "Drive," thinking that, I could sort of drive, but he made me actually drive. Although I sort of didn't have a smooth takeoff, it was a bumpy one, but I still managed to drive, good for 500 yards.
How was that for you? How did you feel?
That felt like, I don't know, somebody trusted me, but it was like he was one of these, people that he would give the opportunity to say, okay, fine. And
Mm,
that sort of reflected back, or that, was part of him that I grew up with. And
mm,
he was one of these people who actually got me started in DIY as well. But
mm,
when I was at school, 16,
yeah,
in the summer holidays, what he said to me was, "Come on, you want to learn how to decorate?" He says, "Come and wallpaper my front lounge." So I did my first wallpapering at his house in his front lounge.
uh-huh.
And to this day, Auntie Olga still remembers that. "Oh, I remember you doing this and all that." And yeah, I still remember doing that as well. So that was his start of me driving and when were in the business together, the dry cleaning business together, we had two different cars, two
Mm.
cars, same models, everything. But I would prefer to take his car because his view was, well, if you go and have a crash, it doesn't matter as long as you're right. And I think that sort of stayed with me because that's the same thing I used to say to you, girls.
So
Remember?
is it for you, your feeling is it's how you feel with Sentikaka, a sense of safety and like feeling confident
Adventure
about
as well, yeah.
yourself?
And
How important was it for you growing up as well to feel safe with another person or family member to then just live freely and be yourself?
I think with him, it was like you could do what you want as long as it was within limitations. And if you did something wrong, he was there to back you. Uh, if my dad or my uncle or whatever would say anything, he would be there to support you. Say, no, it was me. So he would take the rap
Mm.
for it if. So that was the sort of confidence booster.
Did you
In
feel you were supported growing up? So, like, how was your relationship with your mom and dad? Did you feel supported when you were young and through school and adulthood, or did you feel you had to be quite independent and like a man and just figure stuff out and be left to it?
Obviously, being in Africa and with my dad being at the factory 6 days a week. Mom just, Ba just being at home doing the normal housework, cooking and all that.
Mm,
We were left to our own devices to a larger extent.
mm.
Again, we did anything bad, naughty or whatever, they weren't shy to smack us
Yeah.
because I still remember, Ba smacking me a number of times. But then again, that's just part of growing up in those days. Nowadays,
Mm,
children want to take their parents to court because they raise a hand or whatever. But for us, that was discipline.
mm,
It may sound strange, it may sound cruel, but in
mm,
actual fact, there was a way where we stayed in check. We knew our boundaries, not to
mm.
cross the boundaries, not to overstep the mark. Um, School was something that we were driven to school, brought back from school, used
Mm.
to come home at lunchtime, have our lunch or whatever, then go back. So that was basically the situation. There wasn't anything in terms of playing as well. We used to sort of, just play along. You used to fight, but you never used to come and so tell at home, okay, I had a, bust up with this cousin or whatever.
Why
And there was
wouldn't you
just,
tell them?
because if we did, then we get more smacking. It's more like, childish things like, playing
Yeah, silly
marbles
things.
yeah. Or, yeah, I think mostly it was when we used to play marbles. So, we used to
Mm.
collect marbles. And in those days, you could get those different types of marbles, which were intricately designed.
Mm.
and and like you playing the marbles. Some days because it's glass, one would crack, and the other one would say, "Well, you broke my marble. I need to get one of yours," and that's how the punch up would sort of happen, or whatever.
Yeah, like silly things that we do as kids.
It was never really malicious in terms of harming in any
Yeah,
bad way.
yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, have fun playing with marbles and climbing trees and mangoes and stuff instead of just doing homework after school. You
and
actually
then
had
ri-
quite a
and riding bicycles freehand as well.
well, yeah, we know you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie, a bit more risk averse, they say, and men in particular are more risk averse than women. But it's a fun childhood, and it's open, it's free, it's kind of yeah, actually exploring life a little bit more, which is nice. What was school like? And I know you talked about this with us, over the dinner table and just many times when we've just had chats and things, because I feel like some of my life is also a reflection of what you've been through too, in terms of bullying and being picked on. If you don't mind exploring some of your experiences there and what actually happened, and then we'll explore how it made you feel.
Basically, one of the and probably the most significant negative part of me growing up was the fact that I was the darkest of the family. Not only was I sort of dark in the family, but even within our friends group or play groups, playmates, because I used to play football, we used to play volleyball,
Mm,
and we used to have this thing called, jumping through the hoop,
yeah,
bicycle hoop, and then you'd practice on normal, and then we would actually go through it with a fire around it.
as you do, as you do, you just light a ring of fire.
But yeah, that's the sort of thing that we used to do. But it was all through training and so on. You couldn't just go and do it. But yeah, I mean, when I used to play volleyball and so on, the other players would sort of call me Kalu, which is black in Gujarati,
Mm,
and that used to be hurtful. And I often used to think, why me? I suppose I grew up with that, and that sort of led to a bit of lack of confidence and shutting myself away, trying to, if there was any event or whatever, I'd try and sort of take a back seat, try and avoid if I can. So, at least then I'm not upfront coming in the limelight or whatever.
mm,
That's probably the only uh, detrimental, you know, effect on me through my childhood. But in terms of when I used to be with the African kids, because obviously school was mixed, there was no such thing as that. If anything, it was more the discrimination from our very own people
yeah,
that still exists.
yeah,
And it's like mums or grannies, they look at when a baby is born. If it's a very fair baby, oh, baby is lovely. But if the baby is slightly dark, they won't make a comment. They will say, oh, the baby is a bit on the dark side. So
mm,
basically, the discrimination, as I said, wasn't from outside, but from within. And sometimes having that, having heard that sort of thing, it does affect you. And that's where I think you sort of end up, or I ended up having a lot of confidence shattered out of me. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
yeah. I've been through the same thing, and you know this. Just us growing up, we'd come back from holidays, or I've always felt like the darker one as well. And I've had
Mm,
comments, being called an Oreo. I've been called Blackie. I've been called loads of
yeah,
different names, and also in our family, it's you're looking darker. We've been on holiday, and
true.
I remember one time you actually defended me because it. I feel like it may have taken you back to when people would say that to you. And I always felt like the darker skin one. I know that my skin tans easily and it
Oh, you
does
are my daughter
impact
after
your
all.
confidence. Yeah, I mean, I don't look like one of you guys, right? I'd happily look like you. But yeah, I think I can completely relate because it does knock your confidence. You know, you don't want to also be in photos because you don't really come out that well, or people say, "Oh, stay out the sun because you know you'll get darker," or you know, it's yeah. I've had the same feelings. I know exactly what that's like. So, in terms of confidence, did anything happen where you started isolating yourself more from people, or was there still a part of you that still wanted friendships and just kept going and started to find your people?
I think when I was obviously still growing up, people making comments, "Oh, you're dark" or whatever, and they would suggest to me, "Oh, you should have a bath with this flower or this soap and scrub yourself. You know, you might turn lighter." And being naive, I used to do things. I used to so
Mm,
go in there, take this. Somebody used to say, "I'll take this ground flower." Chana lot.
yeah,
He says, "Oh, rub that on you and, leave it and then wash it off or whatever, lighten your skin and all that." Or we used to have this thing, they used to grow on trees over there.
yeah,
I don't know what the English name is, but it's more like little brown dates, but not, you could eat them, but they were bitter ones, not dates.
yeah.
And you could actually use that as a shampoo for your hair because in those days, it was all natural stuff there.
Amla, is it
No,
gooseberries?
it's like brown gooseberries. If I don't know if, but anyway, we used to call it arita. I don't know what the English name is. So they used to say, "Oh, rub that as well. Scrub with that." Being naive and trying to sort of change my appearance,
Mm,
I would try anything.
mm,
But then it got to a stage where nothing would work, and I would be as I am. And I think over a period of time, you tend to sort of think, you know what, it is what it is, and without realizing, you just accept it. But then, when I came to this country, and when I started schooling through work and all that,
mm,
yes, I still used to get the same discrimination, of being,
mm.
dark and all that. But then, when I was at college, I think that changed my perspective in a sense that, you know what? In our Sanatan Dharma, Krishna Bhagwan is supposed to be dark. But thing was, he was dark, but he had so many gopis around him, all the ladies around him. So there must have been something that attracted all these lovely ladies to him. And I used to then turn around and say, well, Krishna was dark. So what's wrong with me being dark? And that sort of changed my perspective. And then I actually turned it around the other way, turned it on its head in a sense that if somebody used to go on holiday and they come back and I would go next to them, I said, well, you got suntan, but you haven't caught up with me, have you? And that was a joke, but at the same time, having a dig at them indirectly without me even realizing that. It's only now.
Sometimes humor is our biggest protection mechanism, isn't it? We want
That's it.
to get in there first and say it and hold control over those comments about being darker and comparisons. So we get in there first to lower the blow almost so that
Yes.
if someone says anything, you're like, well, I've already felt the pain of it. What you say now isn't going to impact me.
Precisely.
Your way of protecting yourself, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So that over the years, and now, I would say what 45 years on or whatever, I actually make a joke of it myself. At work, the English guys go to on holiday, come back, look, I got a 10. If I go and sit next to him, I said, well, you haven't really caught up with me, have you then?
Is that you now being confident in that
Yeah.
to yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to change how I am. My personality is within me. The outlook I have is I can't change that unless, skin pigmentation changes or whatever.
Mm,
Right? Other than that, like I have this issue with being dark or whatever. The people with the pigmentation issues, I'm sure they suffer this similar thing. And a lot of this thing is actually from our very own people.
yeah, I know that.
I think our people are very narrow minded. And I think This is where I think we try to move forward, but that holds us back as well.
Mm.
So, yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that. Do you find that as you stepped more in your confidence and accepted yourself more and started kind of just living freely and said, "You know what, fine, it is what it is." Do you find people still picked on you because of this confidence you had and would try and knock it to try
No,
and knock it at
no,
all?
because at the end of the day, what can they say to knock my confidence? Because I've already told them you can't change something that's not in your hands, in your control. By accepting what I am, who I am, whatever you say is not going to make any difference to me. If anything, if they
Mm,
want to say anything, they will say it on my back. They won't say it on my face
mm,
because they are the ones who are ashamed, not me.
yeah, it's true. It's usually they project their own uncomfortable feelings or
Yeah.
insecurities.
It shows their character, not mine.
Yeah. Well, you should be really proud that you held your own and, despite that and comments made and, at some point it did try and change you by doing all the, they call it piti or like whatever on, the ground flour and harda and all the stuff. I still do that as a cleansing thing rather than trying to lighten my own skin. But, those people who try and put shame on you and lower your confidence, they also don't know the impact it had on you back then, but to feel proud now, to, like, confidently accept yourself and move forward, like, you should be really proud, Dad. It's always nice when we hear the story.
Yeah, and thing is that the friends I have now,
Mm,
yes, we laugh and joke about things like that, but never because I've got friends now that go back to almost 50 years. We've been friends since college days, and you know them, right? But we've never ever had any conflict in a sense. Oh, you dark water. Jokingly is all said, but it's a joke, and I know that as well. But deep down, it's the character within me and this character within my friends that we are. That's the bond that there is. You can't have that mutual respect for each other without having a bit of a comical situation.
so do you
Yeah,
think
you have to
if
make a you have to have some humor into it as well. The friend circles that I have, nobody has ever crossed that line because at the end of the day, I am who I am. I have my own skills. I have knowledge which not everybody has. The
mm.
knowledge I have may not be in line with somebody else's knowledge, but then sometimes they tap into my knowledge.
If someone does cross the line, do you feel confident as a man and what you've been through to say, hey, was hurtful, that was too much? And if no, you can't express yourself, what stops you? Like from a male perspective and the emotional side, if someone said something too much to you that you're like, no, I'm not having it, how, like,
I think the answer to that question would be if I feel that it's offensive, then I don't think my friendship with that particular person is valid. And I would say, thank you very much. And then I'll gradually, distance my friendship connection with that person.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, I don't need to be mentally tortured
yeah,
because of
yeah,
my outlook. I am who I am. If you like me, it's the friendship of the heart, not of the color of the skin.
yeah. Oh, the ego. Yeah, it's very true. I know you've got really good friends around you, which is always nice. You've got really loyal friends, ones that check in on you every single day, which is nice. What from just your perspective as a dad, as a man, as a young boy once, and say if a young boy who was really lost and didn't have many friends or didn't know the right kind of crowd to hang around with or people, what qualities in a group of boys or men or friendships would you advise them to look for to then start feeling like they've got the right people around?
I think. The priority is to try and get your own confidence up first. With your confidence, you can then start building on people around you, because you can't have people around you and then build your confidence. Yeah, you can do, but you've got to be strong yourself.
Mm,
A lot of people sort of say, "Oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that." But I think you got to have self belief. I mean, yes, I talk about it now, but whether I had the self belief when I was young, I don't think I could sort of say no, I had that belief. But for some reason, I was actually quite fortunate that I came out of it without any negative impact on life, like leading
mm,
to mental health, or going through depression or whatever. But
mm.
yeah, in as I said, you have to have that confidence and self belief. It's like saying that if you want to ride a bicycle, you have to so believe in yourself that, yeah, I want to ride this bicycle. Yeah, I'll fall down a couple of times. Yeah, I'll hurt myself. But then sooner or later, you're going to be able to ride that bicycle.
Initial advice would be try look within and feel confident about who you are, just like you did, accepting who you are, things that you can't control and change. And when you get to a certain level of confidence and self belief within yourself, with that, what then kind of people should they try and look to connect with?
The other thing on this point is that it's no point trying to have too many people around you. Look within yourself and also try and find somebody who is in a similar situation to give you the confidence, to give you the support. From one to two, no point having 10 different people trying to work on one person at a time. And that is basically what you grow in confidence.
So, what about qualities like and shared values? What do you value in terms of friendship? So, for me personally, I value loyalty, I value respect, I value honesty, and I value creativity. What do you value?
Loyalty and trustworthiness.
Yeah.
And somebody who can support you. I'm not talking financially, but emotionally,
Yeah.
who can share your journey. So yeah, loyalty is something, that's the main part of a friendship. I think you can be
Yeah.
a loyal to a person. You can say to them how you feel, as long as, even though it may be hurtful, at least you know they're telling you the truth and not making you listen to what you want to listen.
So then with those kind of friends that you have around, do you feel you get more of the emotional support and you can share how you're feeling and vice versa? And then
Yes.
actually, how does that actually make you feel as a man to go, I've been able to share my emotions? Like, what is that like as a man? Because women do it all the time. Well, most women do.
By actually sharing that experience, my experience, they end up sharing their experience. Although my experience may be of one thing, their experience may be of something else. And when we talk to each other, we talk about issues, the problems, and even the family members who are actually not in line with your values.
Good way to put it.
So, yeah, and this is where you separate the good from the bad.
Mm.
So you have friends who are at an arm's distance, who are there, oh yeah, we should work together, or my friend or whatever. But then your friend says that, no, if I need support or help, he's the one who's going to be next to me. As you know from the experiences that you've seen, yeah.
What do you think society has taught or encouraged men to be like when it comes to emotions? Do you think it's moving in the right direction, or do you still think men think that sharing emotions is a weakness rather than a strength?
I think going back to the days of my dad, my grandfather, and even to a certain extent to myself, it's always been perceived that men are not supposed to display the emotions. Whatever it is a build up. You just keep it to yourself, you work your way out of it, and, hopefully things will work. But that leads to a lot of health issues as well. I think now the highlight of the mental health and so on is bringing out the fact that even men have emotions and they need to release them.
Mm,
These days, a lot of people with emotions built up within them end up either having health problems, physical health problems, or mental health problems.
mm,
That's not very good. So I think men need to be encouraged to show the softer side of them, not have this exterior, this hard exterior that, is supposed to be portrayed, which
mm.
our forefathers did.
Yeah.
Why is it that they can only show the emotion when somebody passes away? But even then, in the family, but even then they are aware that, oh, somebody could be looking at me, that I've got tears in my eyes, and they try to suppress that, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help the grieving process either.
Do you feel like there's just still a lot of judgment placed on you, boys and men, to shed a tear or want to say, I'm feeling like this? Do you think there's still judgment and shame and criticism placed on boys and men to do that?
Yeah, because to show emotion and to show tears in your eyes, and that's perceived as weakness, and to say, well, you're not a man, or you're not a boy enough, or whatever,
Mm,
tough enough, or whatever. That's its sort of general, you know, consensus people have.
mm,
So yeah, you need to sort of be able to release those frustrations, the anger, the emotions, even if you do it in private. That
mm,
actually releases. I've done that in my own self
mm.
privately, not in it's something that you can't. It doesn't happen naturally.
Yeah,
But
of
when it's a
course.
buildup of things, it's like a burst pipe that just want to explode.
We've all had those moments, when you baby cry and you're like, it's all just coming out and it's just, you have to do it. And it's nice to hear that you actually do it and you're encouraging it because actually you're showing that there's so much strength in showing emotion and crying and expressing. Do you feel safe also maybe having girls and good people around you to be able to do that in company, to say if you wanted to release emotion with people and connect that way, do you feel safe to do that?
I think for me, since having two daughters, two lovely daughters, you guys have actually taught me how to show emotions, to say it's okay to cry for a man, and you're not going to be judged on that. So really, you brought out the person in me which I could never show before,
Mm.
show the world. To say that, and also you guys are giving me the encouragement in if I want to do something, you said, "Right, go for it." And I think that for me, that looking back on it is my proudest achievements is you guys showing me the way. Normally, parents are supposed to show you the way, but this time, in this particular case, my children have shown me the way.
Do you feel like that encouragement and support mirrored how you felt with Gender Gaga when you were younger?
In what respect?
Like, the example you gave of in the car, like, "Go on, start the car, drive," and that placing that trust in you or, if you wanted to do something, he would encourage you to do it, he'd support you. Did you feel the same when we would support you as your
Yes,
children?
definitely, yeah. Because it is in a different form of support. You
Mm,
see, you could have a physical support, you can have mental support, you can have emotional support, different types of supports. But it's question of putting the right context to the right text.
yeah. No, I like that. No, that's cool. Apart from your children that you're proud of, what are you proud of within yourself as an individual, as your own self?
Well, basically, in everything I've done so far, that I've achieved it through the support, full support of my loyal wife, your mom. She's encouraged me. She's many a times guided me. to say, oh, this might be the right way, and believe that it is possible.
Mm.
Even though I may not show it to her, but inside me, there's something that, may not be visible, but in
So
my
you're
heart
proud
is
of
so,
mum too.
of course.
And what are you proud of for
And
yourself?
for myself, the fact that I have two lovely daughters, that's the most proudest thing I have. And to see that you are achieving what you want to achieve and you want to be happy. And that's what I believe as a proud father to say. I haven't told my girls that they have to do this. They have done what they want to do because they want to be happy, and I'm proud of that. That you've gone in the direction that you wanted to, and you have become successful in the field that you have entered.
Well, thank you. We're proud of you too, and we couldn't have done it without you. So thanks, Dad.
That's fine.
I have a creative question. What obviously you played with marbles, you climbed trees, school wasn't the academics and stuff wasn't always of top priority or interest, and I get that. You talked about DIY. Would you say all of these things you still love doing because it brings you back to like when you were younger?
Yes, in terms of playing around, sometimes you go to the park and you see me playing around, going and you took me on the swings the other day. Yeah, it brings back memories of when I was a child. Swinging high up and all that. Uh, yeah, it brings back memories and it sort of thinks to myself, yes, and then coming to this fact of teaching when I got you girls to sit on my lap for you to drive, to feel the drive, it sort of reminded me of my childhood, how I was encouraged.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of music or whatever, because as you know, I do play a bit of tabla and a bit of harmonium.
Yeah, you're good. You should be playing some
That
more of it.
and
I'm gonna
and
get
that
that out soon.
and that obviously reflects back on my younger days as well when I used to do that. In terms of DIY, I think having come from a family of construction,
Mm.
carpentry and construction, the interest of DIY has always been there. More so now because there's so much things are so much easier than compared to in those days. Again, times when you're not sure, but then you got this thing called the lovely wide web called the YouTube. You can find anything you want.
Yeah, we always see you on hours on end watching YouTube
Well, yeah,
videos.
but yeah, things like that. So yeah, it does reflect back. Again, when you say you want something, I've always said to you, let me see if I can make it for you.
Mm.
So
What does that do for you when you're engaging in creativity? Like, I see it from the outside. I see how focused and calm you are and kind of enjoying it. What does it do for you when you're making something or like creating something or doing DIY or playing a bit of music or even listening to it? Emotionally, what does that do for you? I know when I paint, for example, I do something creative, I feel just really peaceful. How is that for you?
I think it calms me down. DIY sometimes can be stressful, but in terms of the other bits like music and listening to music, playing music or whatever, that's more so relaxing, calms your inner self. It just sort of puts me in a sort of relaxed frame of mind
Mm.
and oblivious to the outside world as well.
Yeah, I think as I've grown up and learnt more about myself, I see a lot of myself in you and me. And it's really not strange, but it's really kind of weird in a good way that I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm like my dad." Like, there's so many similarities here, and it's so nice to have and be able to have these conversations just to give a sense of, like, connection and peace of mind as well. But I do see it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, we're like the same person." It's quite fun. But it's nice because 'cause we've both been able to engage together, and you've come along to my markets, and you really have fun with that. You've built me things for my market stalls, like the candle holder stand. You've a frame for the fingerprint tree, the wedding one that I did. You helped me with the frame, and it's been nice as a bonding tool as well for us to share that together. And I always find words difficult, but doing something like that together is also quite connecting.
It is connecting, and that also builds your, bond, as you said, makes
Mm.
it stronger. So yeah,
I like it. It's super fun. And you was like, "Oh, what are you scribbling away?" I'm like, "What are you scribbling away, Dad?" Last question before we wrap up. What advice would you give to your younger self?
uh, yeah, I think I've written that down because
I love the preparation.
the advice I would give to my younger self would be to tackle the bull by the horn. Don't
Okay,
be afraid of it.
meaning?
Meaning, don't shy away from situation that you cannot control.
Mm,
Life is such that we are not all perfect.
mm.
We all have faults. We have to learn to live with our faults and accept people for their faults.
Okay.
Tolerance is something that I think is lacking nowadays. Going back to what you said, what advice I would give is to be, whatever you do, just do it to the best of your ability,
I like
irrelevant
that.
of whether it's right or wrong. If you think it's right, do it. If it's wrong, you'll find out.
It's so true. It's so true. We're never encouraged to like make mistakes. You're always told to avoid them at all
Yeah.
costs. So yeah, it's
Because
a
then
really
you see, signifies as a mistake is a failure.
yeah.
A mistake is not failure. Mistake is actually a success because it makes you think twice the next time you try and do that. Again, comes back to the fact that you know how to ride a bicycle. You fall down first time doesn't mean that you've failed. You've learned something. And you go back on the bicycle and you pedal harder, and
As
that's
you
where you kick
used
your
to
butt.
say, pedal, pedal, pedal means keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, thank you, Dad, for joining me on the Vulnerable Voices podcast. I'm sure a lot of people will value a lot of the things that you were saying, sharing a similar journey and, things that might resonate in there that in society and in the 21st century is still happening now. So I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your journey. And yeah, I'm really proud that you're my dad. So thank you for everything that you
I'm
do.
proud for you to call you my daughter.
And you've been really brave today. So I'm excited for people to hear your story and who knows who might be able to help with it and give a peace of mind.
Let's
So
hope so.
thank you.
No problem. You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You as well.